Hello everyone, I'm Travis. This is Travis Travels. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do something a little bit different than usual. So instead of going somewhere to eat or to sightsee, we are staying right here to talk about how to plan for your ultimate vacation. And I will use my upcoming vacation to Japan as an example to demonstrate all the points and steps. So without further ado, let's get started. Travel planning is not everyone's idea of a good time. However, if you break down the process into easily digestible steps and approach the process from in a systematic and stepwise fashion, I think you'll find it surprisingly easy to do and perhaps even enjoyable to do. After traveling for 20 years in 30 countries, I have reduced my travel planning process to a very simple system consisting of 5 steps, each one represented by a letter for easy recollection. So the steps are A, B, C, D, E. A for agenda, B for booking flight, C for creating a calendar or itinerary, D for dwelling or accommodation / hotel, and then E for extra. A step for those who are overachievers among us and who want that extra credit to be extra sure of an extraordinary trip. All right, step 1. Agenda. Now this is where you want to use your imagination and really think about where you want to go and why. So in my case, I'm going to Japan in about a month from now, and I want to go to the middle part of Japan that's known as Kansai. So that's where Osaka, Kyoto, and Nara are located. And I'm keeping my trip to a very focused, concentrated area so I don't waste too much time in transit. So if we take my upcoming trip as an example, what I usually do is I plot where I want to go on a map. That way I have a visual frame of reference, and that will help me to decide where I can fly in and out of. Now a lot of times what you want to do is do an open jaw trip, as Rick Steves would say, where you fly into a city and then you fly out of another city. That way you minimize the amount of distance you need to retrace. But in my case, really the only international airport in this area of Japan is Osaka. So I am flying into Osaka and also out of Osaka. So as you can see, I have plotted on the map all the places where I want to go in this trip. So you have Tokyo here and then Osaka over here. On this trip, I want to go to Osaka, Kobe, Kyoto, Nara, and then Kyosan. Kyosan is kind of a mountainous area where there are a lot of temples. So in what order should we visit all of them? So that will depend on proximity and also just the natural location of these places in relation to each other. Since I am flying in and out of Kansai International Airport, which is here, it's on a reclaimed island in the middle of the Osaka Bay, I am really restricted to a circular route. So that way I can minimize the number of times I'm retracing my steps. So I've decided to go to Kobe first, and then go to Arima, and then Kyoto, followed by Nara, followed by Kyosan by way of Osaka, then back to Osaka for my last night before returning via Kansai International Airport. I've decided the best way and most efficient way of hitting all these stops is via a circular route. So now your trip will most likely be completely different. And if you plot all the stops on, if you plot all the places on a map, you'll probably see a different shape, lending itself to a different itinerary and route. So it really depends on where you're going and the relationship between these places. The next step, step 2, is booking. So that's where you book your airfare. What I usually do is I check Google Flight to get a sense of the prices. Most of the time, prices will dictate where you're going, as well as when you're going and which airline to take. Kayak will sometimes give me a different flight itinerary. The kayak platform is able to pair different airlines with each other to get you the best fare. But Google Flight website usually suffices for my purposes. After you book your flight, you have your bookends for when you're going and when you're coming back. Now, the rest of the planning process is really to fill in the details between those bookends. Now, let's go to step 3, and that is C, standing for calendar or itinerary. So this is where we're getting more granular and thinking about where we want to be, what we want to do on each day of your trip. So again, I'm a visual learner. I like to write things down. That's the best way, I think. So I create an itinerary. And this is something that I will come back to over and over again between now and my trip. And each time it will be further refined and more details will be filled in. When I first start the itinerary, I only know a few things. I know when I'm flying there and when I arrive, and then I know when I'm leaving. My trip is going to span 9 days. The first day I'm in flight, and then I get there on the second day, evening, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full days in Japan, and I fly out on the 7th day. The next step is to decide where you want to be on each particular day, and this relates back to that map I showed earlier. So I know where I want to go, and I have a sense of the order in which I want to go to each place. So preliminarily, what I want to do is I fly into Kansai Airport, and then I want to go to Kobe straight away, spend the night there. Next day, I spend most of the day in Kobe, and then I go over to Arima, which is like an onsen town on the outskirts of Kobe. Spent the night there, and then the next morning I head to Kyoto, where I spent the next 3 days. On the 6th day of my trip, I head to Nara and spend most of the day there, as well as the night. And then the following day, on day 7, I go to Koyasan. Now, Koyasan, as you saw on my map, there's no direct public transport from Nara to Koyasan, so I have to go to Osaka first, and then onwards to Koyasan. The next day, I go back to Osaka, and then essentially I've been to Osaka before, so I'm not going to do much sightseeing there. My main focus will be shop until I drop. That will take me late into the night, and then the following morning, and I'll probably continue to shop until it's time to go to the airport. And that completes my trip at a very high level. So the next detail I want to fill in is basically transportation between all these stops. For example, initially I wanted to go, so I want to preferably go directly from Nara to Koyasan, but there isn't a public transport that directly links those two places. So that is a constraint I have to overcome, and the way to do it is to basically go to Osaka first, and then onwards to Koyasan. So as you do more planning and more research, you will come upon those constraints, and then you have to incorporate those constraints into your itinerary. This is much better than encountering those constraints for the first time when you are actually there at your destination, because that's going to waste so much time. You're going to be spending a lot of time in transit or figuring out how to navigate transit, and then that leaves you with less time actually sightseeing and doing the things you want. So the whole purpose of planning for a trip is to save time and save money while you are there at your destination. All right, step 4, which is represented by the letter D, which stands for dwelling or hotel or accommodation. So in this step, we book our hotels for each day we are on holiday. Where should you book your hotel? Depends on where all the places you want to check out, right? So all the places of interest, all the attractions you want to go to, book your hotel in proximity to those places. So that way you can minimize and reduce your travel time. So the best way for me, again, as a visual learner, is to plot all your places of interest on a map, like I have done here. So this is it's a map of Kyoto, and for each place I want to check out or that I am slightly interested in, I would save on a map. So all these green flags represent places of interest for me. And this starred item is where my hotel is located. So as you can see, the hotel is in the center of all the places of interest. So in that way, I'm pretty much within walking distance of all these places. Now the reason why there are so many places is because I marked all of the restaurants and izakayas that I'm interested in. I'm not going to all of them, but if I am close to one, I am feeling peckish, then I know where I'm going. Alright, so if you are still with me, then we're pretty much done. So you have your airline tickets, you have your itinerary, you know where you will be on each particular day, you've booked all of your hotels. You are pretty much ready to take off. Now, if you are an overachiever and you want to go even further with the planning process and be even more ready once you get to your destination, so you can save more time, more money, and have more fun, then let's go to the next step, step 5, which is represented by the letter E, or extra. So this is where you get extra credit. So these extra items of planning largely depend where your destination is. But I think in most places where there is cell reception, you want to get a SIM card. Whether it's an eSIM card or an actual physical SIM card, you should plan in advance. The last couple of times I went to Japan, I used this SIM card from a company called B-Mobile. And it worked very well. Other companies probably work just as well. Because I have everything plotted on my Google Map, having internet connection is essential for my trip. When you use Google Map for public transportation, it will tell you how busy the train is, which platform to go to. It's very detailed, and all of the information is in real time. So it's probably the number one used transportation app in Japan. Now, a lot of attractions nowadays and museums require advanced booking. You also want to check out their websites and understand their ticketing process. And then lastly, to clear customs and immigration, a lot of countries require their own version of ESTA. ESTA is what foreigners have to use to come into the US, and a lot of other countries are instituting a similar program. So make sure that if there is such a requirement, you know about it. Japan doesn't have an ESTA program currently for nationals of visa-free countries. However, there is a website called visitjapanweb.com that it streamlines the custom and immigration clearance process by asking you to upload your information beforehand, and it will give you 2 QR codes that you can simply scan when you get to each station after you land. And the last time I used it, I cleared customs immigration in less than 10 minutes. I highly recommend that you pre-register. Now, there are a lot of passes in Japan for transportation purposes. There's the Japan Rail Pass, and then there are regional rail passes and bus passes. Depending where you go, you might want to check that out. So that is the long and short, mostly long, of my trip planning system. As you can see, it breaks down the whole process into 5 steps, and each step is represented by a letter for easy recollection. So A, B, C, D, E. A for agenda, B for booking flight, C for creating a calendar or itinerary, D for dwelling, aka hotel or accommodation, and then E for extra, for those overachievers among us who want to go the extra mile to make sure the trip is extra efficient and extra fun. So that is my process. I hope you found it helpful. Maybe it's not for you in its entirety, but feel free to pick and choose the things that you like and find helpful, and then discard the rest. Well, that is all from me. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. If you are so inclined, I would be very grateful indeed. Well, until the next video, goodbye.